everybody, it's Becky. I am back with a video today about puppies. If you follow me on Instagram or my Facebook page, you might have seen that we got a new puppy back on July 18th, and it's a golden retriever, and his name is Loki. And he's very cute and bitey and annoying, and you forget how annoying puppies are until you get one, but that's a whole side point. We really learned, we lost our lab back in December of last year, and we had to put him to sleep. And he, from the time he was 8 weeks old, was an extremely allergic dog. He had food allergies and environmental allergies. So from the time he was 8 weeks old until he was towards the end of his life, when he was 8, when he died, he was constantly on medications and special foods, and he was miserable, and he was always scratching and itching, and it was horrible. No matter what we did, we never could really get his allergies under control, and we'd really just, I don't know, it was just a mess. When we first got him, we did not know there was such a thing as pet insurance. Just like health insurance for people, there's health insurance for pets. We didn't know that. I don't know if it's because it wasn't around, or it wasn't as widespread as it is now, or we just didn't know. I'm not really sure. We learned about it a couple years after having him and thought, wow, that would be so nice to have puppy or pet insurance for him to help offset some of his medical bills, because it was extremely expensive. But at that point, none of the pet insurance companies would insure him, because everything that was wrong with him was considered pre-existing. So we always said, going forward, if we ever got another dog, we would get pet insurance. Even if it's throwing money down a hole and we never use it, it's just, it got astronomical. There towards the end of Samson's life, he tore his ACL. And we had to pay, within 1 month, we paid $3,000 just to have the surgery, and of course all of his medications, and then he tore the implant of his knee loose, so we had to pay again to have the implant taken out, and then he was going to be lame the rest of his life. And I mean, it was just crazy how quickly, how fast that money just went, and we weren't prepared for it. It's not like we were sitting, like, saving money aside thinking he was going to do that. It was just a freak thing. And again, that was not covered by insurance because he was a lab, and so they said that was a genetic disorder, which now we have found there are certain pet insurance companies that will cover even genetic disorders. But we just basically, all that in a nutshell is to say that pet insurance is something that we feel like is extremely necessary, and we learned the hard way how hard it is to pay for these vet bills when you don't have any kind of insurance. And so basically this video is all about pet insurance and how to save money on pet care. So the first thing is, make sure that you're signed up for your pet store loyalty card. So whatever pet stores you have. So like PetSmart and Petco and places like that. PetSmart has a program called Pet Perks, and Petco has a program called Petco Pals, where you get special coupons and special sales, and they get you on their mailing list, and they'll email you coupons from time to time. So that's just the first easy way to save money. Also know that PetSmart does price match. They don't price match everybody. I don't think they price match online competitors. But if you have another pet store in your area, they will price match that. And I've also had them price match, like take a competitor's coupon. So I don't know if they do that in every store, if it's just my store, but it definitely doesn't hurt to ask. And that'll help save you a little bit of money just off the top. Now, if you do have a pet that has to have any medications that are prescribed by your vet, make sure that you ask your vet, is that a medication that you can get at a grocery store, at a drugstore for people? We found that out with Samson. A lot of his medications, there was a human form that we could get for like $4 for the generic versus $35 at the vet. So always ask and see if there's a comparable prescription that you can get at the pharmacy, and it's usually between $4 and $8, which is usually a lot cheaper than what the vet's going to charge you for it. Also know that pretty much every dog food manufacturer makes coupons. You can visit their Facebook pages, you can visit their websites, and pet stores will take a manufacturer coupon for pet food, just like they take their own store coupon. So make sure that you are getting on the whatever pet food that your pet is on. Make sure you follow their Facebook page, make sure you check their website periodically, and sign up for their email so that if they have a coupon or a rebate that comes out, then they notify you about that. And that is another thing, is rebates quite a bit will happen, and you can get money back on pet food. And also a lot of pet food companies have a program where if you buy a certain amount of bags of dog food or a certain amount of cans, like a 13th can might be free, or a 14th can. So just check with the website of your pet food brand, whatever that is, and see if they have any kind of loyalty program and manufacturer coupon and rebates. Don't forget to check out any any wholesale stores that you can shop at, like Sam's and Costco, if your dog doesn't have to have a specific allergy dog version of food or something like that. I do know that I saw at Costco they have quite a few dog food flavors and brands, and they also have some pet medication. So check there if you have a membership to any of those places to see if it's a better deal than getting it at your pet store or at Amazon and places like that. But also don't forget Amazon, because I know that the food that we started Loki on is way cheaper at Amazon than it is in the pet stores. Even probably with using coupons, it's still cheaper to get it on Amazon. And you can do the subscribe and save. It usually saves you a little bit more money, and you don't have to remember to go out and get it. They will send it to you every 2 months or 3 months or 4 months or however many months you ask them to send it. So kind of going back to pet insurance, I would really recommend getting pet insurance, even if you don't have a puppy. There are some pet insurance companies that will insure you even if you have any kind of pre-existing conditions. You'll have to double check and make sure. They're all different. The one that we found, there's a waiting period for certain things. So if you don't have a puppy and you have a dog that's older that maybe has some conditions, there's different stipulations for different ages of dogs and different breeds of dogs. You'll have to kind of do your own research about that, but it's definitely worth checking into, because knowing now what I know and have spent so many hours researching different pet insurance companies, the one we were talking to before when they weren't going to cover anything pre-existing, there are different ones out there that I think will, and so you just have to do your research. And there's 2 websites I'm going to link down below, which is where I did all my research, and it's petinsurancereview.com and topconsumerreviews.com/petinsurance. Those are both the 2 websites that I used when I was researching pet insurance, and it's kind of like consumer reports for pet insurance. And so there's reviews from people that have that insurance and have had claims and how the process went and things that were covered and things that weren't covered. So those are just 2 really great options for you to do some research about that on your own. Also, even if you have insurance or you don't, a lot of pet insurance companies, you have to go ahead and pay for the services and they will reimburse you up to a certain percentage, whatever your plan is. So in our case, we have 90% reimbursement once we've met our deductible. So I might have to go ahead and pay, $100, but they'll reimburse me 90% of that. So when I pay for that, I can use whatever payment method I choose, whether that be cash, if I have a credit card I want to use that has rewards, or you can use probably a care credit card account, which a lot of vets, not all of them, I don't know, but all the ones that I have been to have a credit card that is able to, it's usually they approve you for a certain amount, and it usually will break it into payments if you have a bill over a certain dollar amount. So in our case, anything over $600, we were able to finance and put on 6 months payments with no interest. And so we did that with Samson when we had all his medical bills. That was really one way that helped to make things affordable once we reached that $600 max. So it just really helps. It's something to think about. Definitely check with your vet and see if they have either the Care credit card or any other credit card like that. Not that I'm encouraging you to get a credit card, but I'm just saying if you need help breaking up pet bills and whether you do or don't have pet insurance, that might be an option for you. If you're in a situation where you have vet bills that you just cannot pay and your pet needs a life-saving operation or medication or procedure or something, I do have a video I'll link down below about a nonprofit organization that will help people to pay for life-improving and life-saving vet bills. So I'll link that video down below. You can check it out, and they have an application process that you have to apply and meet certain requirements, but they do what they can to help people to pay for all these different surgeries that their pets really need for life-saving things. So I'll link that down below. Kind of talking a little bit more about pet insurance specifically, we chose the Embrace Pet Insurance Company. It was the top-rated insurance company that we found, and there's 2 different tiers of their coverage. They have accident and illness, which is one category, and they have wellness plans, which are the other category. And that's all things like microchipping, spaying and neutering, vaccinations if you have a puppy, things like that. We found in the research that I did, none of the insurance companies that I called, none of their wellness plans were, I thought, a good enough value, because they didn't cover everything. They only covered a certain allowed amount of each shot or each procedure, and then I was still going to have to pay the extra out of pocket for those procedures while also paying that monthly, the monthly premium. So it just, for me, it didn't seem to make the most sense. Yeah, in the beginning with Loki, it's going to be more expensive because we have to pay for all the vaccines out of pocket. We have to pay for the neutering out of pocket. If we get him microchipped, we have to pay for that out of pocket. But after that, it's over as far as wellness, because for the most part, all he's going to need is his occasional vaccine, like rabies vaccination, and whatever we use for flea and tick and heartworm medication. So we just decided to not even get any wellness coverage. We just purchased the accident and illness coverage, which is what we found to be what we would have needed the most with Samson with all of his problems. And so in this case, since he's a puppy, there's no waiting period. There's no breed specific limitations. Like before, they would say, well, if you have a lab, certain insurance companies will say, if you have a lab, they're known to get hip dysplasia, we're not going to cover anything that's related to hip problems, or we're not going to cover anything that's related to eye problems if you have a lab, or whatever the situation is. There's certain problems and illnesses and things that certain breeds of dogs are more disposed to than others. And there's certain insurance companies that will say, we're not going to cover this, this, and this because you have a lab and they're prone to getting those things. Embrace didn't do that. There are no pre-existing condition limitations for us since he's a puppy, and there were no breed-specific exclusions because of him being a golden retriever, and golden retrievers and labs are both prone to hip dysplasia and different types of cancer. So none of those things are excluded. And so that was the main thing that we were really focused on, was if he gets injured and if he ends up getting one of those conditions with his hips or his eyes, none of those things are going to be excluded. They have a deductible that every year you don't use your deductible or you don't have a claim, they will take $50 off of your deductible up until, it could disappear and you would have no deductible at all. Now, once you have that first claim, it will automatically reset back. And so the next year you'll have the full deductible again. But then again, every year after that you don't have a claim, then it goes back down in $50 increments. So I chose them for that reason. I thought that was great. They do have a 14-day waiting period for illnesses and a 2-day waiting period for accidents. They also have a 6-month waiting period for orthopedic issues, but you can sign a waiver. You can do like a waiver and actually get that done immediately if you do have that issue that arises in those 6 months. So there was a couple different options they had. I really liked that them and most of the insurance companies, you were able to pick your own deductible and your own percentage that they were going to cover for reimbursement. So we chose the $750 deductible, but the 90% reimbursement. So once we meet that $750 deductible every year, hopefully not, they will pay 90% of whatever we have to pay at that point. So that's what we chose. You don't have to choose that. You can do your own research with the links that I provided below. Ask your vet maybe if they have, I know some vets do have recommendations of certain pet insurance companies they work a lot with, and some vets even have their own version of a wellness plan. So you could maybe get an accident and illness coverage with a pet insurance company and maybe get a wellness plan with just your vet. That's up to you. You just have to do your research. I just want to kind of throw this out there because it's something that we learned extremely the hard way. It's something that I have done a lot of research on over the last 6 months or so, and it's something that took me a long time to make a decision to pick an insurance company, and even after we picked the insurance company, to pick the deductible we wanted and the reimbursement amount that we wanted. So, that changes your price of what you have to pay a month. Obviously, the lower your deductible and the higher the percentage they pay you back, the higher your monthly premium. If you really want to just insure for really extreme accidents and illnesses, then you can choose a really high deductible and a really low percentage of reimbursement back, and that'll lower your monthly premium. That's up to you, and you can play around with that. Once you call them, they will email you a quote, and you can click the email, and it'll take you to a page directly for your specific pet, and you can kind of play around with the deductible and the reimbursement schedule and kind of see how that affects the payment, and then you can decide how much you really want to pay per month. And if it's only $1 more a month to have a lower deductible, then maybe you want to get a lower deductible. So that's up to you. I'm not sponsored by this, by the way. I just feel like I feel like a commercial. I just really want to try to help people to try to avoid some of the mistakes that we made and learn from some of the things that we have learned over the past 6 months or so, really over the last 8 years from having Samson and knowing how expensive vet bills can be. I really just want to share that with you guys. You are free to do whatever you want. If you decide to choose pet insurance, you don't have to necessarily choose who we chose. I mean, that's why I put the links down below for those research places so you can kind of see what other people have said about various pet insurance companies. I just want to provide you with that thought that if you didn't know there's pet insurance, know that there is. And if you didn't know how important it can be, maybe hear from my experience how helpful it could be if you have it versus not having it. So I hope that helps you guys. I plan on doing a puppy vlog with him. I'm waiting until he's 12 weeks old to kind of put his first month and a half of being home with us and making that into kind of a video. Just, it's going to be fun for me just to see how much he's grown, because he's gained already 6 pounds in the last month. And he's gotten a lot better in some ways, but he's still extremely bitey, which I hate this stage, and I really hope that it goes away quickly, because I hate nibbly, bitey puppies. It's so frustrating. But so far, he's already ruined one of my curtains, and he likes to try to chew in everybody's shoes. So I think it's more going to be training myself to make sure I keep those things up. Of course, the curtains I couldn't take up, because obviously they're hanging on the wall, but shoes and things like that, and trying to keep him busy and taking him for walks every day. And we've never had a golden before. This is our first golden retriever. I picked him because, you know, we did have a lab with Samson, and I had a lab growing up, and they're really the sweetest, best dogs in my opinion. And I know goldens are pretty much the same temperament and same level of intelligence, so we wanted something similar to Samson, but not necessarily the exact same thing. And I kind of wanted a golden, and so we got him. And he was born the day before my birthday, so it's meant to be. But his name is Loki, and my mom and dad have his brother, which I told them they should name him Thor, but they didn't. His middle name is Thor, but not his first name. So they're really cute, and he's really fluffy and sweet. And I just hope this video helps you. If you're interested in the puppy vlog or any of my other videos that I make on my channel, make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss them. I put up a new video at least once a week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. Please like this video if you liked it. If you have any comments or suggestions for me about pet insurance and healthcare and things like that, leave it in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.